My name is Austin Trapp, and along with Tanner Topple, Ken, and Griffin Moore, we will be discussing wildfires in the United States. Since the beginning of human history, wildfires have been a large problem for ancient, older, and now modern societies. However, as of the past few years, research has shown steady increases in the frequencies of wildfires today. This is a bad sign for American societies, as wildfires cause several problems in our world, including dry conditions, drought, disruption of land and water supply, deterioration of air quality, and loss of property, crops, resources, and even people. And these are just to name a few. Furthermore, we have already seen some of these problems come into play with some of the major California wildfires in the past couple of years. Since 2017, it has been recorded that around 7,500 to 8,500 wildfires take place just in California, as shown in the graph from PBS NewsHour. And these numbers have continued to slowly rise with the year 2020 having the most wildfires ever recorded in a year in California. In addition, these wildfires are increasing in size, as research shows that the average fire size in 2010 was 48 acres, while the average fire size from 1960 to 2010 was only 37 acres, which is seen in the graph from wildfires today. This is just an example of how one state in the U.S. has witnessed the growing problem of wildfires in our society today. So, how can we slow and prevent wildfires from happening more frequently and dangerously in our civilization? Our group has come together with some solutions that could possibly be an answer to this important question. Wildfires are occurring more frequently and more dangerously than ever. They have major effects on not just the environment, but the economy and society as well too. We need to come together to put plans and solutions into effect in order to slow down and prevent wildfires in the future, because if we fail to do this, there will be lasting consequences in the future.
The first solution that our group came up with is coming up with less costly but more effective methods. This would take lots of research and many years to come up with, but in the long run may be less costly. As stated by Alan Agar, a emeritus scientist with the U.S. Forest Service, one potential solution to change current fire suppression tactics is to intentionally increase the area burned under conditions when risks are acceptable to managers, and fires can be used to achieve long-term restoration goals. With more knowledge about wildfires and how they spread, we can find better methods to stopping them. In the U.S. in 2018, $400 million in suppression costs were used. This is according to the U.S. Department of Interior. That is a lot of money. If we are looking to lower that cost, we need to find more effective ways and ways that are more cost efficient. One way we can do this is from learning from the current tactics that we are using today and basing our new tactics off of those. An example of this is using water. Currently, we use water in planes to stop the spread of wildfires. If we use water in a different way, it might be more effective than the current way we are using right now. The only problem with this, that it's hard to find both a cheap and effective way to stop fires. Not only that, but if we use these types of tactics, it might be more costly in the long run.
In our next solution, our group noticed that extinguishing methods of wildfires will be benefited as a whole by technology. Technology for wildfire suppression is still fairly new to our country's homeland security, but is becoming reimagined better than ever. As time goes on, technology and methods will be improved that can be focused towards fighting wildfires. With new technology implemented in new methods, firefighters and grounds crew could not be needed as much. Ultimately, this will lead to more and more lives kept away from the hazard of fire, raising survival rates. With more of these new and advanced procedures, the United States can handle more efficiently and sustainably by not using as much energy to extinguish them. These are just a few of the ways and techniques and feats that could be used to help extinguish a raging wildfire. National Geographic provided an infographic that went into greater depth on possible procedures that could be used. Unmanned aerial vehicles, commonly known as drones, have become a valuable tool in fighting wildfires. Drones provide surveillance in unreachable areas by helicopter or plane. and do not require a firefighter to be put in danger. Humans have also designed robots that could potentially withstand temperatures far beyond human capabilities and that could function just as another firefighter would. Satellite imaging provides a broader perspective to allow analysts to understand how much ground that wildfire is already covered and where it could be headed next. Sensors and sensory systems could allow firefighters before a wildfire could outburst and allow citizens to evacuate ahead of time. Using the tool of satellites provided by other space programs like NASA, wildfires can be tracked more efficiently. This tool alone needs to be emphasized. Thermal imaging on the ground and in satellites has already proved its advantages and enables a fire to be tracked more precisely. It's fair to say that with the use of new technology, older suppression methods could be boosted with the help of innovation. Even with all the positives that technological advances provide for wildfires, there are still some limitations to the solution. Local governments in rural areas do not have access to some of the materials that other areas may have, adding to a decrease in technology. As a result, accurate machines may not be provided for low-budget organizations and could potentially be misleading. Isaac Sands Kenencia wrote for Forest Monitoring, an expert-regulated blog on environmental topics, and conducted a report on how satellite imaging could potentially miscalculate models versus real-time events. Isaacs and the organization's studies came up positive, and not everything that their satellites predicted was accurate. If technology could prove to dominate suppression methods for wildfires, active firefighters could not be needed, leading to job loss and an economical swing.
My group and I decided that the best solution would be solution 2, using advanced technology to fight fires. As Ulad Sayed Yunez, Doctor of Computer Science at the University of Qadi Ayad of the Fire Safety Journal, touched on certain methods and technology could be used to predict and prevent wildfires. An overemphasis on satellite imaging can monitor where the fire may be headed next. Thermal energy has already provided its advantages and it enables a fire to be tracked more precisely and how much of a fire could be in a certain location. A beneficial database can be built from remote sensing and related to crops that farmers are growing, meteorological conditions, and thermal anomalies. My group and I concluded that solution 2 is the best solution. It is the easiest solution to implement and is easy to stay up to date with. It is the most effective and cheapest over time. Here are our citations.
Okay, thank you, Griffin. Griffin, could you tell me a way in which your team's resolution makes you think differently about your own individual research that you did in your paper?
In my paper, I had the environmental ones, and I was thinking that we could just pour more money and more resources into the way that our solution was using the methods now. But I'd never really thought of how advancing technology could be used towards firefighting.
Okay, good, thank you. And Austin, can you describe an argument from one of your peers' individual reports that made you think differently about your team's solution or your conclusion you came to?
Yes, so my conclusion, I think the biggest, my conclusion in my report was that wildfires, we should look back to ancient methods to see how we can combat wildfires best. And from Tanner's report, he mainly pointed out that we should look to more futuristic methods and technologies, and in the end we kind of summed up that this was the best solution, and that really changed my thinking because that was the opposite of what I
Okay.
researched.
Okay, and Tanner, reflecting on your colleagues' work, which one had the greatest impact on your overall understanding of the problem your group identified?
I think after doing all the research, I think that Griffin's, because he looked into the environmental problems of wildfires, and our problem was how they are affecting not only the environment but also the economy, but mostly how they affect the environment and how they're destroying and causing a lot of damage.
Okay, and finally, Canon, could you give one specific way that your thinking changed as a result of learning about Griffin's findings?
So yes, I looked into a little more of the economic ways, and so it looked a little more futuristic based on Tanner's ideas. Griffin's ideas with the environmental aspect changed my views because it really isn't all about the economy. Naturally preserved forests are being destroyed by wildfires every year, and it almost has just the same effect as it does on a brand new built building.
Thank you, guys.